Ryan is my nephew and Carla is my sister. When we were little, growing up, we would pretend to have a little play band and get the furniture as our instruments, me and my brother and sister. We had fun growing up sometimes. We'd get outside at my Uncle Bob's house, and he had a barn, and we'd all play in the barn. But yeah, I had some good childhood memories with her too, but until she got actually on drugs and started being mean. Well, she started smoking pot to begin with, and then we noticed her eyes being red, and then finally she progressed to taking pain pills. And then, as far as I know, all the way through the years, she took almost every kind of drug we can imagine. Anything a child could do to get in trouble, she got in trouble. Well, but she was pretty good when she first had Ryan, when he was little. She didn't do drugs for a while, and then she gradually got back on them, and then it's been down.
She quit at one time.
Yeah, she quit doing them for about 2 or 3 years.
Growing up, she was like my best friend. I hung out with her all the time. Obviously, my nanny was there most of the time with us, but she was great. But the negative side was she was the rudest person ever to my mom. Like, she was violent towards my mom. I've seen her hit my mom a few times.
Okay, it affected Ryan by him not having a good mother at all. She would not go to any of his class activities at school. She didn't even go to his middle school graduation in 5th grade. He had a hard life with her. She was mean to him. She really was.
I've never seen them together much. Like, if I saw Carla, I knew Ryan wasn't near. But it wasn't because they hated each other. They never saw each other. They weren't in each other's lives. Carla has lived in Missouri maybe 8 years or something like that. But she's back here now, and Ryan did everything he could to help her. Like, he went and got her haircuts. He made sure she had a place to stay. He would go out and buy her groceries. As long as I've known Ryan and Carla, I've seen them in the same room maybe 3 times. And I've been alive 18 years. Even with him in a casket, I didn't see them in the same room together because she didn't go to the funeral.
Because, I mean, he loved her because that was his mother, and he wanted to try to help her to, Ryan had a big heart, and he still loved his mama. I mean, it was his mother, but he knows she didn't treat him right. He did. And then Cash, she was mean to him too. She actually hit Cash when she would get messed up and get real ill.
But Cash, still to this day, will always love Carla. And I don't know, I can't understand that.
Yeah, when the kids were younger, and Ryan was little, she was actually, they had a decent family there for about 2 years. And then she got back on the drugs, and then she actually got Cash on the drugs, and it got worse. They didn't want to be around her. Cash would try to stay at work all the time, and Ryan, when he was younger, he would call me, and he'd call me Gaga and say, "Will you come get me and pick me up?" Because he didn't want to be at the house with her. We prayed a lot for her, but nobody is going to get help unless they want it themselves, and she never would. She loved the high too much. She's the one that got her son on drugs. She gave him his first pain pill.
So when was Ryan born?
February 19th, 1992. Oh, he was so cute. He was the cutest little baby ever. I remember I was younger, and I had a boyfriend, and he got in between us, and he looked at him, he'd push him out of the way, and he said, "That's my Gaga." He wouldn't let nobody have nothing to do with me. He said, "That's my Gaga." And he'd throw a fit wanting to go with me everywhere I went.
The innocence of that little boy was taken so young. He never really got a true chance in life. And I never got to see Ryan like that. But it was a little bit reassuring knowing that. Got a little glimpse of how good life could actually be.
Did he have any specific passions or dreams or anything like that?
He was very talented on working on cars. He was mechanically inclined. He was very talented on that. He wanted to go do mechanic work, but nobody would hire him because of his criminal record.
He always wanted to be in school. We'd always talk about Bevel because he got accepted into Bevel. He had not studied a single time for anything, and he had to take a placement test for math, and he got into math 125. And he had not studied it. He hasn't taken math since he dropped out of high school, which was 10th or 11th grade. So I think he always wanted to do something with his life, but he just chased the high more.
Well, he started off young because his mother gave him his first pain pill when he was 13.
I think obviously his mom did give him his first pain pill, but one time he tried to overdose on Aleve or Advil when he was 12 or 13. So obviously he was going through a rough time then.
But before then, he was sad a lot because he had a mother. He felt like he had a mother that didn't care about him.
So, when did you notice a change in Ryan?
To be honest, I can't remember a time when Ryan didn't do drugs. In order to get his next high, he would steal from people, and that's what caused him to go to prison and jail.
So, was there ever a moment of hope, maybe?
He was working at the trailer plant, and he was excited. He really loved going to work and everything, and he had a reason to get up every morning.
There have been plenty periods where he was getting better. I remember when I was in kindergarten, maybe first grade, we went and saw him in rehab, and he was clean, and it was pretty helpful when I saw him and you could have an actual conversation with him, and he made you laugh, and he was hilarious. And then he lived with us my freshman year. When he got out of prison, he had come back and he was sober and he was doing great and he was living his life. He was living with us. He wasn't around the old group. It was just me, Mom, and Ryan.
When did it go downhill? What made it go downhill?
The people he hung around, just his friends. Whenever he would say who he was hanging out with, we knew it was no good.
He had a heart of gold. Even though I know he stole but everything, but he wasn't mean. He was actually real loving. And
one of the last times I had talked to him, we were FaceTiming, and he had just gotten out of jail I think he was in there for 3 months maybe, and he was so out of his mind. It was unbelievable. He wasn't even forming words. I just yelled at him. I was like, you can't be stupid, Ryan. And you couldn't tell him he was higher, then he would get offended. And we were talking in the kitchen, and it hung up, and I was in the middle of yelling at him. And that was the last conversation I had with Ryan. Ryan was shot this summer from breaking in a house. And he got in a wreck a few months after and flipped the car. The car was completely upside down in the woods. He was completely under the influence driving one day, and the police officer pulled him over. The police officer let him go if someone came to pick him up, so my mom came to pick him up. A nurse had came up to Ryan's wife at the time that he was in the hospital for getting in a wreck. It was when he had flipped. She had told his wife that the Lord had told her he has had many chances. And this nurse did not know Ryan. She did not know Ryan's story. She didn't know anything about that. But she said he's had many chances, and don't take them for granted, basically, is what she said. You're not going to always have this many chances. He ended up dying, I think, not even 6 months later. I got a call from my mom saying that Ryan had overdosed. But I was like, oh, he's just gonna survive it because he has been through so much and he survived it all. He's been stabbed, he's been shot, he's been in several wrecks, but he flipped a car. That was his last chance. And I thought, he's done drugs his whole life. There's no way that's the way he's dying. And when Mom called me crying, saying that he died, I was so mad. And I thought that was very inconsiderate and selfish, and I could not stand him for it. And I've learned to forgive him.
Ryan was like a son to me, and I felt like my son had passed away because I raised him ever since he was little.
If you could say one thing to Ryan right now, what would it be?
I miss you so much. And I wish I could have been there to help you when you needed me, when you looked up and you needed help. And I wasn't there to help you. I helped you all these years. I sent money and did all that. And then just one time I couldn't help you. I couldn't help you.
If I could say one thing to Ryan right now, what would it be? I would say to Ryan right now, if I could, that we love you. And yes, me and you both know you put us through a lot, but I still loved you. Like I would have if you were off making billions of dollars. I would have loved you the same. And he truly, truly loves me and my mom. He would constantly text me and tell me how much he loved me. When he saw me, he would make sure I knew that he loved me.
He always tried to make you laugh. And he'd always come up to me and say, I love you, Aunt Paula. He said, no matter whatever I did to you, if I stole from you or whatever, I know you always cared about me and you always showed me how much you love me. You and Nanny and Gracie was all I had. He'd always tell us, and I know. He said, y'all are the one got me through prison. He said, knowing that y'all were there for me when I got out, he said, that's what got me through.
If I could tell addicts one thing about Ryan's story, is that there are people out there that love you more than you love the drugs. And it's not only your life. You're affecting everyone else's life around you.